Hey, folks, this is Randy Wilburn. This is a message before the podcast. This particular episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas was done pre-COVID-19, pre-coronavirus pandemic, before the world changed on us instantly overnight. And I had a chance to sit down with Justin and Milena Urso. These guys are the proprietors of Big Box Karaoke right down on Block Street in Fayetteville, an outstanding place to visit if you've ever been there before. You know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, please listen to this podcast and learn all about it. But I decided to reach out to Justin and Milena just to learn exactly what they are doing differently now that all these new stipulations are in effect with regard to how restaurants reopen and how karaoke joints reopen and all that good stuff. And Milena was kind enough on Mother's Day to sit down with me for a hot minute and give us a preview of what is to come at Big Box Karaoke. Once you've heard what she has to say, stay tuned for the whole episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas and learn all about how these guys started this really cool place, this karaoke spot that, oh, by the way, has amazing food. Hey, Milena, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Randy. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So yeah, I just kind of laid it all out there, but why don't you quickly give us the skinny on anything that has changed with regard to Big Box Karaoke? I understand that you guys are opening and not obviously not a minute too soon.
Yeah, we are excited to be reopening our karaoke rooms. After 8 weeks of closing up and just doing curbside pickup only with our food, our restaurant has been very quiet. So we're excited to be reopening on the 14th, this Thursday. And yeah, it's going to be a different experience for sure. If any listeners have been to Big Box, they know the experience as being very interactive, very crowded, and definitely a human experience, meaning we have a lot of awesome staff there to make sure that, you know, your karaoke party is having the most fun as possible. For the reopening, we've had to, think about a lot of things because there's a lot of guidelines in place now on how restaurants can reopen. And our restaurant, I call it a restaurant because we do have food, like you said, but our restaurant is a little bit unique, and we have rooms for karaoke. And so if you listen further in the podcast, you'll hear all about that. But our experience post-COVID, or I guess COVID's not over yet, but during this time of reopening in this new stage, we have created a contactless experience. And that means, it's safe. It's as safe as possible for the customer and for our employees and for us, because that's the most important thing is everybody's safety. So we felt like Big Box was a business that we could reopen confidently at this time. We struggled with the decision to reopen just because it's just a weird time in general, but it was important for us to reopen in the safest way possible. And so we've invested in that. And yeah, it's going to be totally different, but I think that it's going to be still a really fun experience for families and people who have quarantined together to come and do.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously at the time of recording this and when you guys open on the 14th of May, there may not be that many options of places you can go where you have kind of a controlled environment with the 7 different rooms that you can kind of get granular and how you make sure all the rooms are clean and ready to go each time a new group goes in there. So I think that's unique in and of itself. But then also, folks just need to get out of their house. I know people listening to this want to just get out and, catch a breather, do something where it's relaxing. And so I'm sure that this will be a welcome respite from spending a lot of time at home binge watching Ozark and Tiger King and all this other stuff that everybody's been watching. But no, I'm excited and I look forward to hearing all the great stories about people that have decided to come out and check you guys out first and foremost, and especially those that have already been there. I'm sure you have some loyal patrons that want to get back to Big Box Karaoke, because I got to say, those kimchi tots and the wings are out of this world. If you haven't had them, folks,
Thank you.
yeah, you need to check them out. So, but yeah, I just wanted to connect with you and have you give us just a kind of a precursor of what will be. And I know that nobody is holding you to this because things are going to continually evolve. Governor Asa Hutchinson is putting out new guidelines on a regular basis. And I know that you and Justin are going to do everything in your power to make sure that Big Box Karaoke is the safest, healthiest place that somebody can go and just have some fun and let some steam off.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that, people will become more comfortable entering back into society and choose Big Box to do that with. We have a whole list of all the things that we're putting in place to ensure that our environment is the safest and cleanest and healthiest possible for people. But yeah, we're only taking reservations right now so we can control the number of people that are in our building. And between reservations, we're increasing that time so we can spend more time sanitizing. We even got a UV light to do a secondary measure of sanitization. Because, we're taking most everything out of the rooms except for the karaoke equipment, which includes the microphones.
Right.
And that, is a piece of equipment that is close to a mouth, which, is not the most sanitary right now.
Right.
But we've bought more microphones so we can spend more time cleaning the ones that were used, and UV light will be part of that cleaning of the microphones, and all microphones will come with disposable mic covers and all the things. So we have the hand sanitizers available and, masks ready to wear and all of that. So it's going to be a new experience. Yeah. But I think when you're in your room, it's going to be your experience. And yes, like you said, you can let off a lot of steam, kind of de-stress, and just have fun outside of your home.
So, and real quickly, as we kind of wind up before we jump into the actual podcast, now, will there be any difference if somebody wants to have a party? If I have 7 people, that's okay within your group, within a group at Big Box?
Yeah, that is okay. We are taking reservations for groups of 10 or less. So we've reduced the capacity of each of our rooms.
Sure.
And we've also adjusted our rates too during this time to kind of make it easier to pay for it.
Right.
And so it's reduced a bit. It won't stay like that for long, but we wanted to, make it a little easier for some people because we know a lot of people are out of jobs right now. So yeah, you can make a reservation for groups under 10.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we'll make sure all that information is in the show notes. And just so people have it real quickly, remind me of your phone number there at Big Box.
479-249-6295.
Wow, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much. Well, folks, there you have it. Just a little prelude to what you're about to hear on today's episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. That was Milena Urso from Big Box Karaoke right on Block Street in downtown Fayetteville. If there's ever been a time for us to rally around as a community and support each other, support local businesses, local restaurants, because these guys, they employ so many different people. All the people on the back end of these companies, they need jobs. And so I really just want to encourage you, if you've never tried karaoke, get out there and try it. And if you really need the kick in the pants to do it, just listen to this episode and let us know what you think. Hey, cue the music.
It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I'm excited today because I'm sitting here in a room with a television and a couple of speakers on the wall, and a Big Box Karaoke book and a lot of stuff right in front of me, and two amazing people that are doing something really neat right here in downtown Fayetteville. And that's Melina Urso and Justin Urso, the proprietors of Big Box Karaoke. How are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. No, well, thank you for having me. You guys invited me down here, and I really appreciate finally connecting with you. And I think we connected on Instagram originally and kind of went from there. So
yeah, I think it was probably right when we opened and you reached out. I'm like, oh, we're not ready yet.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So I'd love for you guys just to kind of share with the audience just a little bit of your, as I like to say, your superhero origin story, how you guys got here. Why did you even start Big Box Karaoke? It's been about a year now that you've been in business, and it's kind of taken off. It's kind of created a life of its own. You have a pretty strong social media presence on Instagram, and I've talked to a lot of people that have been through these doors, and they're all of the same sentiment about their experience, which was it was a lot of fun. And that they would do it, they would do it again. So I'd love for you just to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, Melina and Justin, and just we can go from there.
Well, Justin and I are married, and back in 2006 or 7, we lived in Japan and after college. And that's kind of where we got introduced to this style of karaoke. So Randy, you talked about being in a room. And for those who have not been to Big Box Karaoke, we have 7 private rooms. So that's what he's talking about, is a karaoke room. And in Japan, that's how they normally karaoke, is you rent a private room to karaoke with your friends and family. And we got introduced to this style of karaoke there and fell in love with it. And ever since then, we've just been trying to build one of these.
Yeah.
We moved back to the States shortly after a year or so in Japan, and landed in Chicago. And that was kind of our first attempt there to open one. We found a place there that we just loved.
Well, the place that we found in Chicago was a little, we like to say, divey. And it was a place that you kind of went to maybe after 11 p.m. at night. And our vision was to create something that was a place for everybody.
Yeah.
Whether it's friends, family, young kids to older adults and anything in between, right? And so we attempted to open one there. It was the recession, just not a great time to try to raise money. We were also a lot younger, had no assets to essentially claim. So banks didn't necessarily like us, but we were ambitious and we found a spot and we started having conversations about that. But the recession, hit strong. And so we passed on that attempt. And then a few years later, we ended up back in Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville specifically. And in 2015, we attempted our second time to open Big Box just down the street here with what is now Atlas.
Okay.
It's a new restaurant that just opened up, and we had a chance actually to visit that a couple of weeks ago. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. And they did 1,000,000 times better in renovating that place than we could have ever done. So very proud of that establishment here on Block. And then in 2018, we were walking on Block Street for my birthday up to visit Pinpoint, which is a pinball bar up the street. And we passed this place. And it had a for lease sign on it. And we knew at that moment that this was it. This was Big Box Karaoke. And 7 months later, we were open for business.
Man, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah. And I was just telling you, I remember when this was originally a bike store, I think. And I'm sure it's over the years, it's carried on a bunch of different iterations. But you guys are here. And almost the building's almost like a box.
Right.
It has that look. So it's like, man, okay, I can see that. But wow. So there is, what's the other type of karaoke that exists?
Just your traditional type of karaoke on a stage in front of a whole bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
You got to put your song into the DJ or the KJ and hope that that person picks you and your song to go up on stage with, just enough tip money. You could probably, get your song chosen to sing. But, it's just a different style. And we've done that style before. We like to karaoke. So we just have enjoyed it more in a private setting like this. And we have found that whether you're an introvert, extrovert, whatever, this style of karaoke kind of opens it up to everybody.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when we have brought friends in, we'll have 1 or 2 people that say, I'm not going to sing, but I'll watch you guys.
Right.
And those people are the ones who can't put the mic down.
Yeah.
So we call them the mic hogs. And it's always the case. Every single person that walks through these doors where they'll say that, they'll claim that position as I'm just watching. And I'm like, okay, you're going to be the mic hog. And then I'll go into the room or Justin will, and that person is up there singing. So it's just funny. People have a really good time.
That's awesome. So now, Justin, are you originally from here, or who's from Fayetteville? What's the connection?
Neither of us are from Fayetteville. We actually both grew up in Van Buren. So, just an hour south of here.
Sure.
And that's what we call our hometown. And we went to different, a lot of people think we're high school sweethearts. We did not, we were not dating in high school. I
tried to date Justin in high school. It didn't work out.
We went to different colleges, and we both ended up back here at the U of A.
Okay.
And so we reconnected and formed a relationship then. And that was in 2004, actually. And in the summer of 2005, I was studying international economics and business at the U of A, and Japanese was actually the language that I had studied. And one summer I went and studied abroad in Japan. Mm-hmm. And that kind of lighted the fire of being interested in like being over there for a period of time. And so that kind of led into that next year was when we moved over there and became English teachers actually in Japan. So, but yeah, from Van Buren but Fayetteville's home now, and we love living here and being part of this community.
No, that's great. So what did you think about your experience over in Japan? Were you able to pick up the language pretty well? I mean, it's not an easy language to learn.
It's not an easy language, no, but having studied it here at the university and then being there, I lived in a small village, and it was only 1,000 people. It was actually considered the remote regions of Japan.
Yeah.
It was not in any guidebooks or anything. When people think of Japan, they think of Tokyo, and we've been to those places, but this was a small village, and you were able to learn the language there. And so that was an amazing opportunity to just really be immersed with the locals, right? The downfall about living in a village is you basically are learning country dialect Japanese. Right. And so when I would go visit my friends in the cities, they all asked me what I was speaking and where did I live, And so I basically just became the person I was in Arkansas in Japan in a different country.
That's funny. Yeah, because you talk to people here in the States, and if you're from the deep South and you go up to New York or someplace like that, they look at you like, what are you saying? Yeah. And it's almost like vice versa. I mean, when you think of the different dialects that exist in this country alone. So I can imagine how that would create some problems. But I would assume that the folks in the village used the same alphabet as they did in Tokyo. So that's at least you had that going for you.
Yeah, so, they did.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so tell me just a little bit about, you thought about this, you potentially tried it out in Chicago, you brought it here, and this was kind of one of your dreams. Had you done anything else in business before you opened up Big Box Karaoke?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, in general, yes. I think for me, I would say this, as a couple, we've always been interested in starting a business, for a long period of time. I myself have been trying to starting businesses since I was a young kid. We both worked in the corporate world for a long time, though. But even during that time, we were always saying like, okay, let's write a business plan. Let's build a business, right? And so the first time that I had actually started a business, though, was back in 2013, 2014.
Okay.
And so it was a technology company that, I was getting off the ground and still running today. But that was kind of the first foot into the door. And it's different. Big Box was a different business and a different business model than that business, right?
Yeah.
Way more hands-on, also being able to really just see actual results from people, meaning their smiles on their face when they come into this.
Gratification.
Yeah.
It's easy to make people happy. When they walk through these doors, they're already happy,
Yeah.
So
I like that. So why don't you walk me through the customer or client experience here at Big Box Karaoke? You come in, I mean, as you walk in, and I walked in here to meet with you guys today, there's a long bar there and a kind of like a sitting area, but then you have all of these 7 different rooms where you have these private karaoke stations. But what type of experience are you trying to convey to potential individuals that come through the doors?
Just an experience of fun and a place where people can just kind of let loose and be themselves. We call our rooms like judge-free zones. So people, and it's great because, we have 70,000 songs that you can choose from. It ranges,
only 70,000.
Only 70,000. So it ranges, from different genres like pop, country, rap, hip hop, heavy metal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And, you can have a group of 6 people to a group of 25 people, and all of those people have different, music that they like.
Yeah.
And people sing their type of music. So compared to the traditional karaoke, you get to sing, your one song maybe. Here you get to sing however many songs you can fit into an hour or more. And your friends are not going to judge you for the song that you sing, and you can act as crazy and silly as you want. And it's just fun. We don't hear anything out there. Our rooms are soundproof-ish is what we say.
Yeah.
And so it's funny to kind of serve the rooms as a staff member here, because you can have a room that is, singing Disney songs, and you can have a room singing heavy metal or whatever. So it's just a whole bunch of different types of people.
Right.
So Justin said it earlier, we wanted to create an establishment that welcomes everyone.
Yeah.
And we've found that everyone, no matter your age, race, sexual orientation, personality type, disability, like everybody has a good time here.
There's something for everyone.
There is.
Yeah. I like that. And does every room have a disco star in it?
Yep. Disco ball. Yep. And we'll show you the experience of a room later. This is like the cleaning experience of a room. Right?
So are all the rooms the same size?
No.
Okay. All right. So if I wanted to book a room, say for 10 people, you have a certain room that you'd bring them into.
Mm-hmm. This would be a 10-person room.
Oh, it would be.
We could fit a little bit more than 10 in this room. This is one of our medium rooms.
Okay.
Our smallest rooms can hold 2 people, 1 person. I mean, we've had people come in just by themselves to sing. Or a date night.
Well, but and I'm glad you brought that up, because karaoke is a big deal in Japan, and I don't know that I ever studied the genesis of it or why it even came about to begin with, but I mean, a lot of people spend time going to karaoke bars. I mean, so it's like, I guess one of your thoughts might have been, how can we kind of foster that environment here in Northwest Arkansas? So
we've seen a lot of people, not a lot, but some people who come regularly. And they say, this is my therapy, because you do relieve a lot of stress when you sing some songs, and it's,
well, you get to try new stuff too. Mm-hmm. I mean, with 70,000 songs, I mean, even just with a few thousand, I mean, you would hardly ever get through, all of it. I mean, you can try different genres, you can try different decades, different languages if you can. I mean, there's so many different things for you to do, to try out, and I think a lot of times with karaoke, you sing a lot in the car or in the shower or whatever, and you think like, I want to sing that song. But sometimes when you karaoke, that song's way harder or different than you ever thought it would be, right?
Absolutely.
And so it takes time to like find the songs that you're really good at, where you excel. And I think a lot of people work on that here. And we karaoke, sometimes we'll be in here, and some of our best customers will be here, and we'll invite them into a room with us. And we love hearing the songs that they sing, and it's songs that we've never heard of, right?
Yeah.
And so we're learning something new.
Oh, I love that. So, I've always told, as I do a little training on the side, and I talk a lot about active listening. And one of the things that I talk about is how, the way that we hear ourselves is different than how other people hear us. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just important to understand that. So, you may sound amazing to yourself.
Yes.
but then somebody else hears you and it's a whole different ballgame. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, I think this is a great place for you to kind of really go and, stretch yourself and try something new. And I was thinking about this. I mean, this is actually seems like it would be a great space for families to come and like have a little singing competition.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that? Do you get some families that do come?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we are a family restaurant. So we welcome everybody until 9. After 9, we kind of choose to be 21 plus, mainly on the weekends, Friday and Saturdays. But we have had a 4-year-old birthday here up to a 75-year-old birthday. And so that kind of gives you an idea of, the ages that come through these doors. But families for sure come. We get a lot of families like during spring break or the summer come and it's another family activity. When it's super hot outside or super cold outside, it's fun for the entire family. And we've had family reunions here too.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, it's a cool place because, it's not, we take our kids a lot to altitude. We love the trampoline park and we like to jump too, but not all families all want to jump,
Yeah, exactly.
but everybody sort of wants to sing, and I don't know. They have
true.
fun.
So, okay. So you have the bar and you do serve food.
That's right.
Okay. What is the fare? What kind of food?
It's like an Asian fusion street food inspired menu.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So like banh mi okay. And what do you guys, I know you guys have, now I've seen some pictures posted on Instagram. Was it wings or it was wings?
We have some wings.
Okay.
Which sounds pretty basic because they're so good. But banh mi, we have banh mi minis, which, traditional banh mi is about like 6 inches.
Yep.
We have them in small little bite-sized handheld sizes with a side of steamed edamame. One of our popular dishes is kimchi tots.
Oh.
So mix in the, traditional tots with something on the Asian side, Korean, with the kimchi. And we have different protein people can top it with. One of my favorites is the shiitake mushrooms and plum sauce, which is something that was not on our original menu. It was something one of our staff members decided to try one day, and it was amazing. And so we added it to our menu just because the flavors is like sweet, savory, and just really delicious.
Oh, man. Sounds good.
Soba noodles. So we have like fare from a whole bunch of different parts of Asia. So you'll find some Japanese inspired dishes, Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese.
Sure.
And
American.
and we must say this too, for anybody that's listening that is not interested in that type of food. If you do book a party here, you can let us know and we can have a pizza available for you. So
well, we did add, a lot of people love our food. Our food is really good. It's kind of like the best kept secret of Big Box. So come and try it.
Right.
But there are some people that, aren't as explorative with the menu.
Or they, sometimes you just want a hot dog, and now we have hot dogs on our menu. And we added a rice bowl that, I think is good.
I think I eat more rice bowls than anybody.
Yeah. We have a salad, lettuce cup tacos, things like that.
Okay.
So French onion dip. Homemade.
So a couple of things. And that's nice that you're able to reach so many different palates with that. Mm-hmm. So, and then what about your sake collection?
Yeah, I'll let Justin talk about that.
Yeah, it's strong.
Okay.
I would say in Northwest Arkansas, we have the widest assortment of sake.
Okay.
Everything we serve here is a premium grade sake, and it's all served chilled. So, we've got a wide variety of most people probably won't know the terms, but for those that do, Ginjo, Daiginjo, Junmai, Tokubetsu, different sakes, everything from a very basic futsushu, which is a table sake, which can be served hot or cold. It's great cold, and all the way up to a Junmai Daiginjo, which is a very expensive, very intense, a lot of labor that went into making that sake that we serve here as well. But, price isn't always an indicator in the sake world of whether you're going to like it or not. So there's a lot of education that we've been doing around sake. We actually held a thing called the BBK Sake Passport in October, where we sold a passport to people. It was $55, and it came with a passport book, and then it had 20 different sakes in it. It had descriptions of all the sakes, tasting notes, and people came in here at different times of the week, and I met with them and educated them on the different styles, the different types. We did a tasting, and I stamped every page that they tried.
Oh,
and
awesome.
So we're hoping to anniversary that again in October with 20 new sakes that we haven't tried yet. So we're working hard with our distributors and people throughout the U.S. to bring in new sakes to Arkansas. And so far we've been successful. And I think, Northwest Arkansas is being rewarded for, our efforts here. And hopefully more people explore what sake is all about.
Wow. Now, tell me this, Justin, before you went over to Japan, did you like sake?
I would say my exposure to sake in Arkansas or anywhere I had been before that was very limited.
Okay.
And it was mostly like maybe having been to a place on Dixon Street and having it served to me hot.
Right.
Right. And actually premium sake in the chilled environment, it's only really been around for a little over 40 years.
Okay.
I say around, but it's only been more into the market.
Sure.
Right. And so it's relatively a new market. And even at that time, even when I went to Japan, I didn't drink a lot of sake over there. I mean, we lived in a small village. It was mostly cheap beer and cheap shochu,
right,
which was a very prominent sweet potato kind of Japanese vodka that we drank. And so sake was something that still, even over there, wasn't, something we didn't partake in a lot.
Right.
There were events where we would have some. Mm-hmm. And that I do remember at like ceremonial things where we'd have some and I'll be like, wow, this is amazing, right? I've never had anything like this.
I know.
And then, once we got to opening Big Box, we knew we wanted to have sake, but then we really got to start to explore what the offerings were and even expand those offerings. So that was a lot of fun being able to do that.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned that. And certainly we will make note of some of the brands that you mentioned in the show notes, because I think it's just important to understand that people, when they think about Northwest Arkansas, there's so much here for you. You guys represent one segment of it. I think about some of the other people that we've had on this podcast that have been able to bring, something different to Northwest Arkansas, like Black Apple, mm-hmm. and, with all the different ciders. Mm-hmm. And did you guys know that, Northwest Arkansas was a big apple growing region? Like, I had no idea about that until I sat down with Leo Orpin and his team, and they just took me to school and they were like, listen, this is what this place is all about. So.
Well, think about, Springdale was the Black Apple, capital of the world, right? They did that. The Shiloh Museum over there has a great, information on that, right?
Yeah.
And those guys are doing amazing things over there. But think about Arkansas with rice. We're the number one rice producing region outside of Japan, essentially, so we're actually growing premium grade sake rice here in the state of Arkansas that a lot of brewers in North America are using. And so there's a lot of good things happening here. I wish we had a sake brewery here in Northwest Arkansas or in Arkansas. I don't know if the market's quite ready for that.
Right.
But we are growing rice here and we're a big rice producing state. So, we have amazing water. There's a lot of advantages to, potentially that being something down the line that exists.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because, people, sometimes we talk about the Delta and they just think that's just a muddy area. It's just really wet. But what people don't realize is, and it's been that way for centuries, is that the Delta area is some of the richest soil in the whole country. It really is. And that's one reason why rice is grows so proficiently here in this area. But yeah, it's, there's a lot of natural resources that are like right under our noses here in Arkansas, period. And I don't think everybody realizes that. So what would you want to say to people that were coming or thinking about coming here to Northwest Arkansas, given that you have the advantage of having grown up here, then you left and then you came back and you realize, you've been in Chicago, you were in Japan, you've had a lot of different experiences. What would you say about Northwest Arkansas to somebody that is thinking about moving here? Maybe they're coming, as I like to say, working for the big three, Sam's, Walmart, Walmart, Tyson, or JB Hunt. What would you say to somebody that was thinking about coming here and then all their friends are telling them, oh, you don't want to go to Northwest Arkansas, there's nothing there?
You're going to prove them wrong because it's a really amazing place. We moved back like 9 years ago and it was so different 9 years ago.
Yeah.
It has changed so much over the last 9 years. We have a family now with 2 small kids. And as a family, Northwest Arkansas has so much to offer.
Sure.
For students and for, just single people who don't have families yet. Like there's just so much to offer. And it offers a lot of opportunity to meet new people, to try new things, to start new businesses. The community has been so supportive of us. And when we first tried to start this in Arkansas, we debated between Fayetteville or somewhere in Benton County.
Sure.
And that was 5 years ago. So it was a tough decision, but we're glad we chose Fayetteville first. We're thinking of starting another one. So that would be in Benton County. And just the support has been awesome. People from Benton County come here to, experience Big Box. And I'm not sure if we started in Chicago, we would have had this support, you know, and it would have been way tougher, I think, to see the success we have seen here in a bigger market. So Northwest Arkansas has everything a bigger market has and also safety and a sense of community and all of it.
Yeah, and it's definitely more, I think it's more intimate. I mean, you bring up a good point about that. It's like, and I don't even know if there is another karaoke place here in this area. Maybe there is,
No,
but,
well, not like ours anyway.
Yeah, no, of course not. Not like yours, but, and it sounds like there is room for expansion. So you're going to probably head up somewhere into Benton County. And what I was going to say to that simply is that even if you live in Bentonville and you come down here to Fayetteville, I know a lot of people that live in Bentonville and take advantage of all the great things that are happening here in Fayetteville. And then vice versa. I live in Fayetteville, and I'm up at at Crystal Bridges. I'm up at the A Street Market on a regular basis. The people at Yayo's know my last name and my first name. Awesome, so it just, I mean, that's the thing that I like about Northwest Arkansas is that we're able to kind of cross-pollinate between Washington County and Benton County, and there's just so much happening between those 4 major cities. Yeah. So it's exciting. It's exciting times for sure. So tell the audience what the address is here on Block Street.
We are at 115 North Block Avenue in Fayetteville.
It is Block Avenue. Okay.
Yeah, I know. No one ever remembers like actually what it is. We're like, oh, it's Block Street. Nope, it's Block Avenue.
Yeah, it is.
But it's the same difference.
Yeah.
Block Avenue, a couple doors down from Maxine's, just across the street from Little Bread Company.
Right. And what are the hours here for Big Box Karaoke? And are there any days when you're closed?
We are closed Mondays.
Okay, Mondays.
Yeah.
So no karaoke on Monday?
No. We are closed on Mondays. We needed a family day.
Well, we are available for larger private parties or special events.
Has anybody rented out the whole place and then taken up a bunch of different rooms for? Okay, so that's possible too. Okay, so all right, well that's cool. So that's good to know. Yeah, I think those of you that are listening to this definitely need to come on down here to Big Box Karaoke, try it out, try out some sake, definitely get some really good food. And, let's see what your voices are like. I think you should come down and really take advantage of what Melina and Justin are doing here at Big Box Karaoke and support local business. So
thank you, Randy.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you guys. And then what's your Instagram?
At Big Box Karaoke.
At Big Box Karaoke. That's right. So I'll put that in the show notes so that if anybody wants to reach out to you, they can. And is there any other preferred method of connection, or is a phone number or email address that you normally use to respond back for inquiries?
If you want to book a room, which reservations aren't required, but if you do want to make a reservation, then you can just go to bigboxkaraoke.com. There's a book a room button, and you can just complete all the information there. And then either Justin or I will get back to you and confirm your reservation that way.
And you might actually join them in the room to do
we
a little
might.
Karaoke. So I guess that's the case. I certainly am going to plan to bring the family here because my kids are all hams and they love to sing. So it'll be interesting to have them come down and take part in that. So
they're the perfect age. They'll have fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I appreciate you connecting with me. And, it means the world that you were able to share your story with our audience here. And so, folks, everybody listening to the I'm Northwest Arkansas podcast, I'd really like you to support these guys, what they're doing here at Big Box Karaoke. Come down, check it out, bring some friends. The rooms are really laid out. They're really set up nicely, but really come and check it out and let us know what you think about it. So, but that's all I have for this week. We really appreciate you guys listening to this particular episode of the podcast. Remember, this podcast can be found anywhere that great podcasts are: Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, doesn't matter. You can check us out there. And we'd love for you to do a couple of things for us. One is write a review or give us a rating. Let us know what you think about the podcast, what resonates with you. If you'd like to hear somebody specifically on the podcast that you haven't heard before, we'd love it if you join our email list. You can do that by visiting IamNorthwestArkansas.com, and there'll be a little pop-up window that will come up, and we'd love to share our weekly newsletter with you with all the great things that are happening in and around Northwest Arkansas. And then finally, just continue to spread the word. Let people know that you've been listening to this great podcast and that it has made a difference for you. Like we said before, we've actually had some people move to Northwest Arkansas because of this podcast. So we want to continue to do that and spread the good news both far and wide. So thank you guys so much. That's all I have for you this week. Really appreciate the folks at Big Box Karaoke, and we will see you next week.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week. on I Am Northwest Arkansas.